We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
It's time to buckle up for making sense of the madness.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and we are going to be talking, quote unquote, MAHA, making America healthy again, or are we making America HE double hockey sticks thee again? And I want your opinion on this because I'm extremely torn. We're going to highlight several things that I think we should be questioning, we should be concerned about, but overall, I have at least seen the dialogue and the rhetoric move in the correct direction. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through a multitude of different stories, starting with the topic of mRNA. We are not going to be using the V word. We're not going to be diving deep into the COVID-19 84 nightmare, other than the fact that obviously it occurred. Operation Warp Speed is a huge blemish on the first Trump administration. I do believe that RFK Jr. is that mea culpa afterwards. I think RFK Jr. also imperfect. We're also not going to focus on the quote-unquote dyes and the things coming out of the food. Although if you in the comments section, because at the end of this, after we watch the executive order speech via Trump and RFK Jr., and then we watch the media piece, I am going to go to your questions and comments on this topic. Because, look, the Surgeon General, for instance, I think there's a lot of questions there. I think, again, there's a lot of lip service on the surface levels that sound nice, right? But at the same time, are we really safeguarding not only the people right now, but a framework for the future? And ultimately, here's the cat coming out of the bag of what I see happening. If this administration can continue to do what they say they are doing, we will know within the first year whether or not drug prices are going to be cut, whether that's actually a good thing depending on the drugs that continue to be utilized by the medical establishment, what the future of medicine is going to be ultimately, especially when we discuss things in the regards of AI. I was just doing a big thing on quote-unquote blockchain people, biometrics. That's a part of the Internet of Bodies that is absolutely going to be pushing forward. We're going to talk a little bit about cancer moonshot, etc. So when I say the cat's out of the bag, I think that people are ultimately going to be given more options. But unfortunately, technology through the military-industrial complex is globally pushing forward. And by it globally pushing forward, it is going to engulf society in a framework where it's going to be extremely difficult, if uneducated, and even if educated, to navigate all of this in a proper manner. And I hope that's not too convoluted. So let's thumbs it up. Let's subscribe, share the content with everybody out there. I do appreciate everybody who has been supporting me via the Buy Me a Coffee and the other links down below. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Phil. Could not do it without you and others like you. Also, again, try giving me a follow on X. You know, look at that. We lost 2 subscribers since the last video that we went live with a couple hours ago. So we put out more content. Both on X and these platforms that you may be watching on, and we lose subscribers and followers. That's how it works when you're true independent media. So before we get to this executive order, I do want to talk about cancer moonshot in particular, because as of May, and we're going to talk about mRNA and some of the states fighting back, and this is like the kind of rhetoric and the good stuff that I think is occurring, and we have to encourage, right? And this executive order, I think, ultimately could be a good thing, but there are a lot of problems with it as well. We'll get into those as well. Indomitable cancer moonshot, the vastly understudied uterine diseases, is on the rise, but Dr. Victoria Bay June and others are fighting to turn the tide. And cancer has exploded. All right. And moonshot is going nowhere. In fact, this is cancer.gov. Okay. It launched in 2016. So again, during the Trump administration. And, you know, Trump essentially not that savvy on the technology they're utilizing. Reestablished in 2022. Really touted by the Biden administration. Now, I will say this about moonshot. NCI has now flagged cancer moonshot and some other things in this fraud crackdown in March. Whether or not that's going to be a reality or come to any kind of fruition, I don't know. Because, you know, this article here where it's continuing literally like a week and a half ago. Or I'm sorry, no, this is in 2023. So, hey, you know, maybe right now, things could be pushing forward. Like, we need to stop this stuff because it's really eugenics and transhumanism. So unless there's a pushback federally on this, and the problem is, like, it's great rhetoric when Bobby Kennedy Jr. comes out there and talks about DARPA and geoengineering and what's going on in the sky. But he says his department's not involved and he can't do anything about it. He's standing next to the president of the United States here, where they're trying to take on, one of those issues. So we're going to get into the positives as well. We're going to play this video, and then we're going to play the media piece. We're going to get into some other articles, get your questions and comments in on MAHA or NOHA.
Why doesn't somebody fight the drug price situation, meaning equalization? There's a term. It's called equalization. Nobody wants to mention that term. And I'm not knocking the drug companies. I'm really more knocking the countries than the drug companies because they're forced to do things. But the drug lobby is the strongest lobby in this country, they say, the drug lobby. It's between that and lawyers. And they have a lot of power. But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for. And we'll no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing. But they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta. They're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union-centric, and they get rewarded 15 billion, 17 billion, 20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. Not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you.
Let me just talk about that for a minute. First of all, when we're talking about those tech companies, again, they're United States military-industrial complex run, although they are transnational, things like Google and Apple, obviously. Yeah, you know, China is the model, and the lines have been blurred. Okay, and that's just business to these people. That's numero uno. But yeah, they're talking about billions there. The problem is that some of that is speech associated and government access to the information associated. We already have all the access. You understand? So it's just like I covered with the Siri story. They're paying pennies, literal pennies, to spy on you and your family, saying it was unintentional, admit no wrongdoing, over a decade plus time. And the best, if you have 5 devices, you're owed $100 dues. No one goes to jail. No one gets in trouble. So this is where, again, I would part ways with Trump and the way that he's framing it. I'm not saying that those lawsuits for the EU aren't EU-centric and bad. I am saying that we have no accountability here either. And also, at the end of the day, when you get into the modern-day drug companies, where a lot of these drugs, especially the SSRI stuff, comes from, it comes from that MK Ultra era. It's born out of that era of universities and drug companies working with our intel companies or intel institutions.
So what's been happening is we've been subsidizing other countries throughout the world, not just in Europe, throughout the world. European Union was the most difficult from what I understand. I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked. And it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill that I buy in New York. And here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation.
And look, that's where I sympathize. That's not an exaggeration. And I'm not, it's not like I'm saying, hey, get out there and do the semi-glutides. I do think that they have a place. All right. Obviously, the overprescription of a lot of these things is also the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, right, fentanyl has a place. Opioids have a place. The overprescription of them is overwhelming. That's where I'm worried. What I would really like to see is tried and true, proven drugs that are already not patented, all right, that have that generic label. The government gives contracts to companies, new companies, hopefully, and tax breaks. Maybe this is where you give the tax breaks to produce those at a mass level, okay, at a mass level, and then highly regulate the dangerous stuff, if not take it off the market. And that would really force the institutions to at least utilize those drugs more. It wouldn't be like a smorgasbord fest of pay-to-play profit on your quote-unquote health.
Yeah. But he was stunned. But it was just one of those stories. And I brought it up with the drug companies, represented by somebody who's very, very smart, good person too. And we argued about it for about half hour. And then finally he just said, because they can't justify it, he just said, look, you got me. You got me. I can no longer they've been justifying this crap for years. They said, oh, it's research and development. Well, I said, well, research and development, other countries should pay research and development too. It's for their benefit. It was just one of those things. And the other countries would set a price, and they'd meet the price, and they'd say, if you don't meet the price, you can't sell it in our country. I said, well, then you walk away, and, they'll call you back, and they'll sell it in the country. But now they'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So
now let me just stop it here. Now here's another example that I think is important. When you have the left and their talking points, and we don't like to get into right-left politics, they should be championing this, right? Bernie Sanders should be out there going, hoorah, Trumpy. AOC should be out there with a big old Donnie T sign. They won't even acknowledge it. They're going to make it about cronyism. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be plenty of cronyism. But, first of all, we live in a very, very, very sick country. And I hope that's going to change. A lot of hopium over here, though, like real hope, that's going to change. But insulin, Trump slashed prices on insulin. Biden got it. No. And people barely spoke about it.
When I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year, but I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it in the way mathematically. And Farmer has to say, we're sorry, but we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty.
This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry.
Let me just stop it there. After they cut out on Bobby Kennedy in a moment, they are going to give first of all, we're going to have the farmer response, which is a different piece, but this is the CNN feed. So you're also going to get the Democratic response. I think it's by Coons.
There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator in Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. They knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million. but he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people.
I want to get your reaction to the president's announcement on cutting prescription drug prices, Senator.
Well, President Trump just said that he's the one that improved Obamacare, which is actually flat out wrong. He tried over and over to repeal Obamacare when he was president the first time, and House Republicans are moving ahead this week with their bill, which President Trump's asking for, that would cut millions of Americans off of health care. In the last administration, Democrats worked hard to pass legislation that reduces prescription drug prices and caps the out-of-pocket costs for Americans. So President Biden and Democrats in the Senate made significant progress in capping and reducing drug prices in the last Congress. If this executive order has a positive impact on health care and on health care costs, that would be a good thing. But so far, the record of what happened in the first Trump administration and what Republicans are trying to move forward right now in Congress would do the opposite, throw millions of Americans off of health care as they make deep cuts to Medicaid.
It's almost a robotic response, right? But for me, the thing that was telling is that he tried to play the game that, his team has already made really great progress on cutting costs. And again, let me say this, okay? I'll believe it when I see it. And I think it's about way more than just cutting costs. Now, in a moment, we are going to go to, the big pharma. Big pharma pushing back on Trump and his executive order. I will say this. I am worried about price fixing elements and the government getting too involved. But if you already are in a monopolistic, collusive environment, all right, you need to do something. And the bottom line is we are in that environment. However, so much of it rides on that military-industrial complex, that scientific elite, that and that goes beyond just people outside of the Trump administration or his backers. This is the transhumanist movement. This is Peter Thiel and others. So, I want to hit these stories, and we're going to hit that big pharma story as well. So, beyond cancer moonshot, okay, AI is moving forward. Okay, and I want to play this piece here first, as we have the first U.S. medical school to fully incorporate AI that is extremely deceptive, that is garbage in, garbage out, that in many ways, again, is a tool, but when it's involved with my healthcare, all right, we are talking about so many ethical dilemmas, and we'll get into some of those in a moment, but let's play this.
Becoming a part of our daily lives, whether in the office or the classroom. For tonight's In Depth, CBS's Tom Hansen reports on one medical school that has become the first in the nation to incorporate AI fully into its doctor training program.
Access and get straight.
Medical students are well versed in the rigorous demands required of their education, but new artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT EDU from OpenAI are designed to help. The Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai is the first medical school in the nation to grant access to the platform to all of its MD and graduate students.
Transient pelvic pain. We're going through a blood vessel.
right in through your wrist.
Faris Ghulamali uses it to prep for surgeries and improve his bedside manner when explaining complex diagnoses to patients.
Do you think that using AI shortened down the time it would have taken you had you not had that tool?
It really helped at least reframe the explanation.
OpenAI has collaborated with universities and med schools like Mount Sinai to ensure robust safeguards are in place to protect student and patient privacy.
I think in medicine and in health in particular, it's essential that students learn how to use AI and how to use it safely. So
Leah Belsky is OpenAI's VP and General Manager of Education. She equates the impact of AI in the 21st century workplace to that of email and internet access in the 1990s.
Where does AI fall on the scale of one of these transformative tools that will be integrated?
It helps them to learn faster. It helps them to discover new areas of knowledge. It helps them to explore more deeply. And so what we're really focused is making sure that there is equitable access to AI.
Vivek Kampa relies on the tech as support in complex research projects.
It gives me a pseudo-clinician-styled mentor who I can ask questions to at any time of day, as well as a pseudo-software engineering collaborator with whom I can debug problems that I'm having.
For Associate Professor Benjamin Glicksberg, these AI tools can be a real time saver.
Now, as an educator, our time are limited. As much as I want to be available to students, unfortunately, it doesn't always line up. So this is like a really nice facilitator.
Growing with it as opposed to fearing this thing and holding it in this scary sense of it's going to replace us, I think is really instrumental.
It's changed everything. It's changed how I think. It's changed how I interact with students. It's changed how I mentor and even try to innovate myself.
An innovation in medicine that helps both doctor and patient. Tom Hansen, CBS News.
Again, all positive, all pushing it. It's inevitable. They're not worried about AI getting it wrong. They're worried about equitable access. Equitable access. And like the young med student, they're worried about his bedside manner. Hey, how about a proper diagnosis and a proper treatment? Bueller? I mean, we're in bizarro town. GPT taking over. Yeah, great idea. Again, there are ways and means and tools, but you got to dig deep. We need to do like a 2-hour marathon episode of the deception of AI. Right? Because look, there are many a use and tool. And it's just like a hammer, really is. Build a house, bash a head. But just like a hammer, all right, they become bigger and better hammers. Trump's out there, for instance, talking about all these weapon systems that we have that have not been publicly disclosed. Yeah, we've been talking about those for years here. For years. Like there becomes a level where all of a sudden it's beyond not a level playing field. So AI is a big part of that. We gotta move towards humanity, not away from it. Let's get into these articles. Then we're gonna play the big pharma response to the executive action, and we're gonna go to some of your questions and comments regarding healthcare. Is this for real? You know, what do we need to be concerned about? What do we need to give them kudos for? AI tool accurately sorts cancer patients by their likely outcomes. Once again, when we're talking about a subject as vast and varied and obfuscated as cancer, as profitable as cancer, as complex as cancer, AI predicting your outcome, boy, oh boy, don't love it, because there are people out there that beat the odds. And believe me, I'm not saying it's easy. It ain't. But boy, when you beat the odds and you do it in a non-traditional manner, they really do come after you. Isn't that weird? Isn't that odd? It's a little bizarre, right? They don't go, whoa, how did you beat the odds? Nope, you're encouraging dangerous behavior by not going through the norms. The AI says so. So, again, talking about mRNA, it does seem like right now, this is March, that researchers that are trying to get grants via NIH are told to just scrap it. Now, again, the Atlantic is out there decrying the administration, saying it's all cronyism from here, right? And you know, because these tools aren't going to be available, right? Like, they're slow walking the you-know-what approvals. Oh, no. How terrible. I mean, these are the types of things that I am happy about, that do seem on a surface level to be a good thing. But if Cancer Moonshot and other things are progressing, that means this experimentation somehow, some way is going to continue somewhere. Now, at the same time, again, when we're talking about this, it looks like these trials are being halted. It's a couple months ago. Positive thing. Florida had unanimous support for you-know-what in foods. Good. That later passed. In some ways saying that there had to have labels on the foods. Banning the edible stuff. Which, again, is paradoxical, but steps in the right direction. States are echoing to ban mandates. Iowa bans administering the mRNA stuff. It advances out of subcommittee recently. This is in March. Positive stuff. But at the same time, Moderna and their UK facility have approval for you-know-what-ski and hutch. So let's play Big Pharma's response to Trump, and then we're going to get into your questions, your comments, your concerns on this topic. Remember to consider supporting the broadcast in the links down below and the Buy Me a Coffee. Here it is. Here's the NBC piece.
Joining me now is NBC News health and medical reporter Berkeley Lovelace Jr., who's been digging into this. And I read your piece on NBCnews.com that really helps to explain what's going on here. So the president said in his remarks today that prescription drug prices will drop, quote, almost immediately. How realistic is that idea?
Yeah, so he did say that White House, they actually walked that back a little bit. They actually said we expect relief very soon and we expect the drug makers to come to the table very soon. So not exactly immediate. But there are questions on whether or not Trump will be able to get this done and whether he has the legal authority to do this. Right now, you'll recall the Biden administration negotiated drug prices under Medicare, but that was passed under Congress, not an executive order. And so this policy from Trump is much broader. So he's saying that it will not only go after Medicare, but also will go for drugs under Medicaid and private insurance as well. He even mentioned the weight loss drugs, Ozempic and Wegovy, saying that they'll target those as well. But there's still a lot of questions of whether or not he has the authority to go after all these drugs under commercial markets as well.
So I'm curious about the reaction to this. We know the president signed a less aggressive version of this executive order during his first term. There was pushback from the drug medication industry at that time. How is the pharmaceutical industry responding this time around? How might they respond going forward?
Yeah, so as you know, they did block Trump's original version of that plan as well. And so they are already pushing back now. We're already getting responses. AstraZeneca responded today to us. Pharma, the drug industry trade group, also responded to us. They said that we should instead focus on insurance companies and middlemen rather than pharmaceutical companies, which is a very common line of argument from them. No lawsuits yet, but we should expect more lawsuits to come.
Yeah, I want to play something for our viewers, something the president said earlier today. Watch this.
The pharmaceutical companies make most of their money, most of their profits from America. Basically, what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same.
So, Berkeley, can you sort of help us fact check some of what we just heard here from the president, this idea that Americans are paying more than folks in other countries or pharmaceutical companies are making more from Americans here. What exactly are the differences sort of between what other wealthy nations are spending on medication versus the U.S.?
Yeah, so that's actually true. So we do have the highest drug prices in the world. We pay something like up to 10 times more than what other wealthy nations pay. A lot of that has to do with the fact that drug companies in the U.S. have basically had free reign to charge whatever they want or whatever the market will bear. Other countries, other wealthy countries, they often negotiate their drug prices. And so I do find it interesting, though, that the Trump administration has not been supporting the Biden Medicare drug pricing negotiations because they are able to negotiate prices under Medicare. I think today.
So again, like, there is no argument. They don't have a real argument against it. And even with give me a little fact check. Well, no, it's actually true that we pay 10 times more. All right. We're going to leave it there. We're going to take your questions and comments, get them in. We're going to ride this one pretty quick. Let's see what we got. Trash Surgeon General pick. Well, if you're following me on X for more than posts on the meth raccoon, I mean, that's a real thing, folks. Do you want some meth raccoon? I didn't think I was going to give everybody meth raccoon, but this is what you're missing out on X. Okay?
Hello? The raccoon has her meth pipe.
As what?
Oh my God. Her meth pipe. He's playing with the meth pipe right now. No, don't reach for it. That's evidence now.
Oh, I don't want him to have that.
That's why I'm going to do it. Hey, buddy. Huh? It's okay.
Okay, you're on Island. He'll be here in 2 minutes. I'm right across.
I mean, that's not AI. That's not satire. We don't live in a simulation. That's a meth raccoon. But if you want to talk about the Surgeon General, there's a great, and actually these are really cool. I don't know, what app she's using for this, but this is Destiny Resendez as a bartender talking about Casey Means for Surgeon General and why she is not encouraged by that pick. And I think it is a great. In fact, maybe it's 3 minutes long. Let's play it. It's worth the play. Wait, you know what? I would play it. There's a little bit of dirty language in it, and maybe I'm trying to cut that down on this format, so we're not going to go to that. But totally worth it. It's not PG-13. It's a hard R, but please go check it out. All right, let's see. Slippin' Dude styling with a new plane. Talking about the guitar playing. That's a whole nother subject. Yes, please consider supporting the broadcast. The link's down below. Yes, I agree that warp speed is a huge blemish. Jason, loved your last podcast. Want to help get the word out. We need better vehicles to do this. It's got to be email chains and grassroots support. Social media ain't doing it. I say it all the time. Through a multitude of platforms, through YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, X, Band.video, and Patriot.tv, we kick, scream, and scratch for the thousands of views we get. Just the way it is. Just the way it is. It's a raw and honest interview. Everybody should check on YouTube. I don't know what we're talking about there. Don't worry, Berman, Trump, and Bobby's Universal flu. Hey, now they're dumping $500 million is going to be different this time. Let's look that up. Let's see where that's at. Because I think that I've talked about some of the funding. Let's see, because that's a valid criticism, right? Let's see what AI says. Let's see. The query for 5 likely refers to the funding under the Trump administration. This is 3 days ago. Gold standard or appalling. $500 million on inactivated viruses puzzles field. I'm going to have to read into this because, again, I don't want any more hate and lie shots. I don't want that to be promoted. That's for darn sure. Pretty much every time Trump opens his mouth, you can expect some bullshiz, according to the Night Watch. I know of people who died of listen, we're not even getting into it. Not even getting into that. Because, again, huge blemish. Trump and Elon are hanging with Qatar and the EAU on multi-billion-dollar business deals. Yes, I you know what? Obviously not covering that today. I've seen some of the speeches. I mean, I'm almost indifferent. I want to work with world leaders. Saudi Arabia has at least kept us away from hot wars. Obviously, they're rolling 9/11 with the funding, and some of the citizenry is troublesome. But really, in Jeddah, a lot of that was the Central Intelligence Agency. And if you don't think there's a lot of cohesion there, well, come on now. UAE, let's see, another globalist president looking for his own business industry interests. Got some deleted one. Let's see what we got here. Star Wars, there is no try. There is only do. Or don't do. I don't know if the don't do. Do or not, maybe. I'm not sure. Friendly Brilliant, how we doing? The Dems use the word progress for try while doing nothing that actually happens. Yeah, let's get those thumbs up. We don't even have 50 thumbs up. We've actually achieved a little over 1 in 1,000 subscribers watching with 82 here live. Rocky, say no to meth. I agree. Folks, you know the drill. We are going to wrap it up. It is not about left or right to this guy. It is always about right and wrong. Please consider supporting the broadcast down below. $5, $10, $15. Big donors. It means the world to me. Cannot do it without you. On top of that, please check out all the documentary films. They are free. Shade the Motion Picture, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, Fabled Enemies, and Loose Change Final Cut. I love you guys. We will see you all on the flip side.